Okay, turn 18, and things are pretty much going to code. In Troya, my Imperial Horsemen wiped out a whole bunch of province defense with no losses, and in the fortress of Ministra, the Grand Army of the Empire stormed the gates of the fortress and were met by not much. One Master Smith, a few recruited infantry, and some province defense. And my Imperial Geomancer Communion, did most of the work, mind-burning away a huge fraction of the enemy infantry within a couple of rounds, and that was basically that. So, yeah, you can see we lost one Imperial Horseman, sadly, probably to the Arbalests. We killed everybody. The Imperial Geomancers got 15 kills, so they are definitely putting in solid work. In Bithyne, we were attacked by knights, who overran my fort province defense, unfortunately. Footmen are just not great. With no shield, low prot, and not great stats, having length 5 pikes does not give them any benefit. In Dominions 4, back when repel worked in a way that made sense, pikemen were quite solid, because they could all attempt to repel any attack against any one of them, so they got 3 repel attempts per attack, which makes length 5 weapons pretty good, unless the enemy is really, really, really strong. But without that, the pikemen get charged into by cavalry and massacred, which is sort of hilarious from a historical viewpoint, but in any case. So, yeah, I get driven off the field. Killed 1 knight commander and 2 militia. They've got 12 knights left. We are breaking out with this army that we had here. 21 crossbows, 7 Imperial horsemen, some injured, and then some standard footmen. I think this army can probably deal with that besieging force. If we look at what they have, they've got 12. The worry is that they have 12 knights. Well, 13 knights, counting the knight commander. But I think my crossbows will be able to bring them down. If not, then we'll have to send over an army from Tianxi to take care of it. But Tianxi can definitely send over an army that can overwhelm them. We're splitting our forces here. We're attacking Shade Forest and Blightlands, so we're going to conquer those 2 provinces. And Nazca is conquering, I believe, all 3 of the other provinces that Ulm has left outside their capital, and possibly a fort somewhere down here. So then we're going to have to deal with this nonsense, this big block of troops that he's got waiting in his citadel. And of course, we're also going to have to siege the citadel down around 130 units inside it, which means we need at least 200 or 300 siege strength. We're going to need a lot more infantry. Now, Nazca will probably take a shot at them first, which I honestly don't want. I do not want Nazca to get Ulm's capital. I want Ulm's capital. In order to get Ulm's capital, as I said, I need to get a lot more infantry down there quickly. So I've got a commander moving here. But down here, I'm actually going to stop recruiting a mage in order to recruit a commander. Or actually, I'm going to recruit a general. And so he will take these guys and lead them down towards Ulm. As soon as if I can break free here, then I can take these troops and lead them down towards Ulm. It's not going to be all that much. What I need is I need all these troops. So that's going to take a little bit. And I think I need to stop recruiting Imperial Horsemen in favor of more bodies. Like, I can do that. 12, 14 versus 14 and 20. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Okay. That gets me a few more bodies. 10. Yeah, I think that's 11 versus about 5. So yeah, more bodies is good. This fort is just recruiting a few Imperial Horsemen. Actually, cancel that. You recruit against Shinoyama. We're also going to need high damage. So we will stick with the Ministry Guardsmen. Actually, Shinoyama don't use shields, so against them, crossbows are going to be most effective. So we'll keep pumping out crossbows. Crossbows are most effective against, like, a lot of opponents. Frankly. Having recruitable crossbows is really good. Down here, Niflheim is suffering the rampages of the Anakites, and they are also suffering attacks from Pangea. So, I'm sorry, yeah, Jotunheim. So, Pangea is definitely giving them the old what for. Nazca looks big, which is not unexpected. Solaria also looks pretty big, because we've got Solaria down here, and then we've got Solaria attacking Satis up here, which indicates to me that this region is probably all Solaria. I don't know about this region, that might be Satis, because Satis is over here somewhere. I would think that Satis is in one of these swamps, because Satis' capital, I believe, is usually a swamp. So they're probably over there, which means that this is probably pretty much all Solaria. So we're kind of getting a feel... A shield. I tried to say two words at once. We're kind of getting a sense or a feel of the geopolitics of the world here. We've got Solaria is developing into a threat. Nazca was always a threat and will always be a threat. Ashdod is doing well for themselves. They've been blocked off by a fort there, and this is a pretty significant concentration of Anakites. I mean, that's this and this, I think, is probably almost all of their recruitment of Anakites for the game. It's turn 18. On average, you can't really do better than... Well, Nasajin went Scales Dodd, so he might be getting 5 or possibly 6 Anakites a turn, if he's recruiting primarily Sheshai. With Ahiman, he'd end up resource locked real quick. Because, like, look, this is an okay spot for a capital, even so I only have 400 resources. So, if he's recruiting mainly Sheshai with a couple Ahiman thrown in, he might be getting 4 or 5 a turn, in which case he might conceivably have 50 or 60 Anakites total. But so this is at least 50% of his entire Anakite contingent visible here. And it looks like he's doing a pretty bang-up job of smashing Jotunheim. Turning on Ashdod might not be a terrible idea, since I do have the Mindburn communions, but it... And he doesn't have, like, Fortitude Regeneration or any of the silly things that make it very difficult to kill Anakites with cumulative damage. So between the Mindburn and the crossbows, I might be able to take down small packs of Anakites. But to be honest, at the moment I'm busy. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I can beat Nazca to Ulm, unfortunately. Like, if Nazca wants to go in against Ulm in like 2 turns, they can do it, and I can't. I cannot effectively attack Ulm. Now, I can probably lock Ulm down with the threat of my Mindburn Communion, because if I get on Ulm's capital, he won't really want to break out, because every time he breaks out, he's going to take serious damage from the Mindburns. So that's probably doable, but that's most of my Geomancers committed right there. I need to recruit more, desperately. We've got some units scattered around, doing their defense-raising thing. Yazi is over here searching for sites in Pergami. And this province is just recruiting one independent commander per turn to shuttle them through the capital and Pergami. And that will help provide leadership for my masses and masses of infantry. Down here, yeah, we're getting the general. And one more there. A little short on resources. That is my main complaint at the moment. I can recruit heavy cap up here. So if we compare non-knight heavy cavalry to Imperial Horsemen, 11, 11, 10, 16 damage, 15 prot, and 16 defense score. Imperial Horsemen are actually better than standard heavy cavalry. If we compare, they have a little bit less defense skill, but the same protection, higher morale, and a better defense skill. And they're also slightly faster. So yeah, if I have to pick one of them, I'm definitely going to go with the Imperial Horses. Unfortunately, I don't have the gold to recruit 2 of them. Let's go with... Let's grab a few Imperial City Guard up here. Okay. So that's going to be the turn. I'm going to take those 2 provinces. Probably not super valuable, but there's something. Going to have to engage in diplomacy with Solaria pretty quick here. Solaria could easily turn into something very frightening. But right now, I'm not going to stick my nose into that party. They've only got 1 Grand Thaumaturg leading this army. Let me view this battle actually real quick, see what they're doing. Now, this is against a very small amount of province defense, so they're probably not doing a whole lot. He does have some death gems. They've got some gladiators, some legionnaires, and then a bunch of summoned skeletons. And they're casting Protection of the Sepulchre, So they're trying to give their skeletons higher magic resistance. But it doesn't look like it really, yeah, it took on that one. This is the same spell that Ermor has, where your skeletons have to fail a magic resistance check, and if they fail it, then they get +4 magic resistance. Okay, he's just casting priest spells. Gotcha. And he's got the death gems for probably, I want to say, like, probably, Shadow Blast. That's the only thing I can think of he'd be using death gems for at this point in the game. That's pretty fast if they've already gotten to Evocation 5. But then my research has been fairly slow. Speaking of Evocation 5, I'll be there in a few more turns here if I can focus on research. But I am probably going to need to pull some more mages out in order to do what needs doing. The owl quills are helping, but I've still got a long, long ways to go. However, the fact that I am now pumping out mages from 3 forts, it would be 4, but of course the knights chose to invade just at the wrong time. The fact that I'm now pumping out mages from 3 forts is really good because it means my research is going up by about 30 per turn. Actually a little more. These are 24, and that guy is 11, so yeah. 35, something like that per turn. So research is starting to spike, which is fantastic. Yeah, you can see how it slowed down when I moved my mages out, but it'll get better. So, that is turn 18, and I'll see you all in turn 19, and we'll see how this whole thing goes. Take care. Alright, turn 19. Some good news, some bad news. So, good news. We took Shade Forest and Blightlands with no trouble whatsoever. Very minor casualties. We lost another Red Guard, unfortunately. That's kind of really sad, and I'm not sure what happened to him. I mean, like I said, the Red Guard have high stats, and right now they've got their actually above normal HP. So did he get hit by a Mind Burn or something? I'm just not sure. I can't imagine these slingers killed him. I think I might have accidentally Mind Burned one of my own Red Guard. Or did he just get hit by crossbow bolts? Yeah, he got hit by a crossbow bolt. Okay. Well, fair enough. Anyway, so that's unfortunate. We lost the Wolfkin Reavers because we didn't rehire them. Fu Manchu now has lightning reflexes. Which is pretty neat. So now he has even higher defense skill. So his defense skill is now stupid, like elf-level defense skill, which is kind of hilarious. So we've taken these 2 provinces. The Wolfkin Reavers, of course, disbanded. However, in Bithyne, our force did not prove to be enough to overcome the Knights. Knights are like the single most irritating. Well, besides Demon Knights, they're the single most irritating independent attack event you can get. Because they're just so tough. I mean, these guys are like superior to my Imperial Horsemen. And it's quite frustrating, because like Imperial, even with a point of experience, 12 attack, 16 defense, 15 protection, 11 attack, 15 defense, 18 protection, and it's just really, really rough. So the crossbows did decent work, but as you see, my Imperial Horsemen actually got beaten by the Knights. And the crossbows did a decent amount of work, but then they got charged into by the cavalry and the militia, and yeah, it didn't work out the way I'd hoped it would. So the Knights slowly chopped their way through and finally pushed me off the field. Did inflict some casualties, but not really enough. So there's still 7 Knights and some militia there, plus their Knight Commander. I was hoping to kill him, really, but it didn't happen. So we are going to have to take that out. So we've got an army over here. We've got 5 Imperial Horsemen and 35 infantry, mainly Ministry Guardsmen with a few Ministry Footmen mixed in. Advancing. Actually, I'm going to take one of those guys away and replace him with that Imperial City Guard. Yeah, because these guys hit hard enough that they can chop through Knight's armor pretty effectively. And yeah, they have a high defense skill, but they'll be taking multiple attacks each, so these guys can probably do it. Especially since the cavalry will get separated from their infantry. So, Danthiol is moving over here. And he's going to take these units, those units, and go down here to Bithyne to help. I'm strongly considering also summoning some ogres to help out. I don't know. I'll tell you what I can do, though. I can start casting Arcane Probing. So, yeah, why don't you just cast Arcane Probing forever? Great. That'll be fantastic. Research-wise, research is going okay. If we look at my research graph, it is still going up, but I need it to be going up faster. I've still got the guy pumping out owl quills, so this gentleman can have a quill. Down here, I've got a general that I recruited. I'm switching back to recruiting Imperial Geomancers. He is leading about 30 glaive infantry over here into Ministra, where he will pick up even more glaive infantry and head down. We're going to go take this palisade. We are not prepared to attack Ulm itself. Ulm has a very large stack on it, and my stack I think would just get overwhelmed by numbers if I went and fought them. My stack is about 110 all told, 12 of which are mages. Once I get these cavalry and these guys and the guys from this that I'm recruiting this turn, I'll be in a more comfortable place, but I would also like to have more mages. Like, I would like to have, like, 16 or 20 mages in order to really, really get the Mindburn Communion going. Now, this is a little bit fraught because, of course, Ulm will be racing towards Evocation 5. If they reach Evocation 5, they'll have Iron Blizzard, at which point the calculus does change, because Iron Blizzard is just such a devastating spell. So, that being what it is, I'm looking at this and going like, well, I kind of need to start moving. Like, I think I may need to abandon research here and get all my Imperial Geomancers concentrated to help besiege Ulm. But I'm not, to be honest, at this point, I'm almost certainly not going to be able to actually attack Ulm before Iron Blizzard is online anyway, which does mean that breaking into Ulm is going to be just an incredibly bloody experience. Which, of course, means I need more infantry. In particular, it means I need more shielded infantry. So I'm kind of in this catch-22 infantry-wise, where only the guardsmen can hit hard enough to actually hurt Ulm's infantry, but only the guys with shields can actually survive, or potentially survive, the Iron Blizzard. Because the Tower Shield gives them that extra. If they block, you can block Iron Blizzard projectiles with shields, and if they block it with the Tower Shield, that gives them effectively 26 protection. So I'm thinking, may actually want to pump out a whole bunch of Tower Shield guys here. And then sort of mix up. Yeah, something like this. Oh, I'm out of recruitment points anyway. Okay, yeah, something like that. Mix them in. The glaives, of course, will end up getting destroyed, but it'll just be what it is, I guess. So let's just alternate a little bit. There we go. Excellent. It zeroed out my resources. That's always nice. And over here I can't recruit because I'm still being besieged by freaking knights. Oh, I hate knights so much. Let's just get shields up here. We're transitioning into the point of the game, into the part of the game where shields are more important than glaives, because the real damage is going to come from mages and crossbows. And yeah, actually, let me just take these glaives out. The glaives that I have will still be useful, but they're not going to be the punch of the army. I mean, this army will get a lot of punch from them, but it's, you know what I mean. You can see what I'm saying. It's a little bit of a tricky situation, to be honest, but I need to focus more on crossbows in order to counteract his troops, and definitely more on mages. Now, if we get my Gifts from Heaven Communion against his Iron Blizzards, his Iron Blizzards win in terms of doing more damage faster, but the Gifts from Heaven can scatter randomly and very easily kill mages. Especially if he's trying to protect those mages from my attack rear cavalry, which requires putting them in the middle of blocks of troops. Then it becomes very, very easy for Gifts from Heaven to crush mages, just by accident almost. But in any case, we're going to move over here. We're going to go take Star Peaks. We've got about another 100 siege strength, so we should be able to break it down in just a couple turns. Turn or two, perhaps. And we've got these guys moving, we've got those guys moving. We're going to kick these guys off of our fort in 2 turns. And this fort, of course, is also functional, recruiting mages there. We're getting mages from here. The Jade Sorceresses. Tell you what, I am actually going to take these Owl Quills away. I'm going to give them to the Jade Sorceresses, because I'm not using the Jade Sorceresses for anything right now. And by giving them the owl quills, that means that I can move some of my Imperial Geomancers without losing nearly so much research. Because if I could get a communion of 16, 8 slaves and 8 masters, that would be really nice. So let's give this guy, what's his, he's weakened. Well, that doesn't matter. Who is slow? You're slow because you're very old. So you're slow, you're not slow, you're not slow, and you're not slow. All 4 of these guys, I'm going to start moving down. That will, of course, take a bite out of my research, but that's fine. And we're getting more mages there, we're getting another mage there, so in 2 turns they'll be there. That'll be 4, 5, 6 more. That will, oh, plus him, 7. That will actually push me up to where I want to be mage-wise. And that should also give me time to gather a whole bunch more troops. I, of course, am recruiting troops from effectively 2.5 fortresses, as opposed to 1 citadel. So I should be able to out-troop him, despite the fact that his troops are actually slightly more efficient than mine, in terms of gold, as well as being better. Yeah, like the Imperial City Guard are really the only guys that can hope to compete with Ulm's troops at all. And even they are not going to compete great. Well, we'll see how it goes. We've got our shield dudes, we're going to get our crossbows and our mages all worked up, and we're going to lay down the smacketh, the proverbial smack. And it'll be fun. Now, at some point, also, I need to dart down Alteration to get Iron Skin and Luck. Or Iron Skin and Temper Flesh to make my mages super resilient. I would also like to get Swarm. Swarm would be a good spell. So after I hit Evocation 5, I might go down Alteration to 4, I suppose. Going down Enchantment to Living Mercury would also be very, very nice. Because Living Mercury is a good spell. Or, of course, I could stick with Conjuration, swap back there, and go down Conjuration to 6 to get Celestial Soldiers and Huli Jing. Huli Jing are great mages. They're as I said before, they're exactly the same as the Kitsune that Joman gets. Probably go Alteration. Grab Alteration 4 after Evocation, and then conjure back down to Conjuration real quick. Thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy would also be fantastic. Thaumaturgy 5 gives me Soul Slay. And Terror, and Paralyze, sorry, not Terror. And Teleport. Teleport's a great spell for Astral Mages. And Soul Slay, of course, is amazing. Okay, we'll do that. Alright, so that's going to be the turn. We're moving our guys over here. We're taking lots and lots of magic sites, which is great. It's pushing my Astral Pearl income up quite nicely, and also giving me a little bit of death income, which is never a bad thing. Didn't find any sites up here, unfortunately, searching with Yazi. So Yazi is moving over to this province. Nuyu is searching Pergami. And should be doing alright. I'm contemplating getting longbows instead of Imperial crossbows. They're actually slightly longer ranged. They do more damage, but they're not armor piercing, so they effectively do a lot less damage. But they're 10 gold and 7 resources versus 13 and 21. And I am short of resources, so like I could get... Like I could do that. Let's trade 3 longbows for a crossbow effectively. I don't have... If I had flaming arrows, this would be an easy decision. As it is... Yeah, let's churn out longbows here. To the extent that we can. There we go. I think that's... Yeah. Yeah, 2 and 7 seems like a decent balance. Okay, great. Especially because we've got crossbows coming out here. Quite a few of them, and then we can get crossbows coming out here if we want. Like... I can do that very easily. Yeah, just swap it over to shields and crossbows. Great. Okay, so that's turn 19. I'll see you all in turn 20. Oh, Nazca and I. We've negotiated. I'm not going to contest him taking this throne, which honestly I wasn't going to be able to contest anyway. And in exchange, he's not going to contest me taking Ulm, which honestly he doesn't want to contest anyway. So basically, we've traded nothing, but we made ourselves feel better about it. You can see up here, Nasajin's Anakites are about to be trapped by a large army of Garm herdings. I'm not sure who'll win that, given that he's gone Scales Ashdod. Given that, it'll be interesting to see. And over here, I am sneaking Ying into Pangaea in an effort to infiltrate them and see how they're doing. Down here, it looks like Solaria has been beaten back. Fenica is no longer under siege. And so we'll see how it... and there was a battle here in Gol Falas. Let's view that battle real quick. See if anything interesting happened. So this is Obscuro the Illusionist and a bunch of militia attacking province defense. Oh, okay. Well, no, this wasn't interesting at all. Yeah. Even militia can work when they outnumber the enemy that heavily, and when they have a lightning bolter supporting them. So, yeah, that was a nothing burger. And Is apparently, according to this, apparently has been defeated by Ermor, and, moreover, they've discovered that their bless is blood vengeance, which is actually kind of a clever strategy. Against... Well, because lictors can take a lot of damage, and so if when you hit lictors you take damage yourself, that means that you're likely to die before them. Now, you do have to fail a magic resistance check, but if the enemy hasn't taken a magic resistance boosting bless, it can work out. So, that happened. And we're doing okay, except our troops are starting to starve here because there's not quite enough supplies, so we'll just move out into the range of light and be good with that. So in any case, I'll see y'all in turn 20. Alright, turn 20. First things first, I made a goof this turn. Nazca, and he had done this before, it was totally my fault. He had told me that he was planning on attacking this province and going for this fortress when we'd agreed to basically swap Ulm for Old Forest. And I'd said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then when I was making my moves, I had completely forgotten about that. So, in range of light, we went in, we took the place over, and then we bounced an Inca, which is one of Nazca's expensive capital-only mages. Now, of course, the Incas do mummify, so he'll have just turned into an undead Supaya summoner. But still, it was bad. It was a problem. I shouldn't have done it. And I lost an Imperial Geomancer in the process. So, no matter which way you slice it, this was bad. So you see that Inca was blessing. So at least we do get to see their bless. So they've got shock weapons, blood surge, luck, and attack skill. And Incas do actually have, like, okay melee stats, except low protection. They have these sun spears, which are magical weapons. I'm not sure what he did. I haven't actually watched this. Tried to mind burn him. Didn't really accomplish much. Ah, yes, he jumped into the middle of us. And killed an Imperial Geomancer, and then just got the absolute crap shot out of him. Zhu Yi managed to survive, fortunately. But still, that was a little bit unfortunate. So, yeah. So we lost a Geomancer. I don't like that one little bit. We also lost our scout in the Resting Heights. We got to see that Ulm has their other hero as well, Dietrich von Brenn, who has Fear and Berserker and is fire resistant. It has this magical weapon, Ekisax, which causes the fear and does a ton of armor piercing damage. Plus, he's just very high protection, so he's an excellent melee unit. Beyond that, we're still doing fine. We can see Solaria is still fighting Cetis in Gol Falas, so they're pushing back in, as it were, towards Fenica. We'll see how that goes. Over on this side, the Anakites have disappeared. They must have moved over this way, since that is still Jotunheim's province. So we'll see how that goes as well. And over here in Ashdod, we can see they have a whole bunch of long-dead Rephites and Sheshai Anakites. So it looks like they are reanimating. Nasajin is reanimating with Best Boy the Zamzumite in order to get his national long dead, which is fair enough. Ashdod and EA Ulm are basically the two nations that can do that effectively. Ying Yang is infiltrating Pangaea, and over on this side we are gathering our armies. This army is going to finally break the siege of Bithyne. We are also breaking out with a few units there. This army should definitely be able to do it. I don't know why I can't take that guy. we're gonna drop off one of those ministry footmen and take him with us. Our various eunuchs are still doing their best, raising defense across our lands. We're researching. Over here, my mages are moving down. They're going down in an earlier round. I think I've already made that joke during this series. Unfortunately, so we've got 4 there, that's 5, that's going to be 6. Unfortunately, since we lost one, we only have 11 mages here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11 mages. So we're going to end up at 17 instead of 18, which is a little bit frustrating, but what can I do? I guess I can get... Because you can't get down there in one turn, can you? No. Rude. Rude and frustrating. Well, in any case, that will still let me have 8 slaves and a bunch of masters. So with that, I'll be gathering an army of about 150 here. That won't be enough to break into Ulm, but it, with the magic support, should be enough to besiege Ulm and get them locked down. Now, at some point here, they will break out, and they will try to break out with Iron Blizzard. In fact, they might attack me because they might have Iron Blizzard. I'm at evocation level 4, and my research has not been super fast. And Ulm can recruit 3 mages every 2 turns, so they might already have Iron Blizzard. However, it looks like they've been recruiting primarily Master Smiths instead of Priest Smiths, and Master Smiths aren't holy, so they can't actually cast Iron Blizzard. And that is honestly what makes me... That's honestly something that makes me feel good about this, because... Or better, rather. Because without Iron Blizzard, Ulm can't beat me. When I have my 150 troops against their 200 troops, my Mindburn Communion will whittle away their infantry advantage very, very quickly. If we look at their units, we've done this before as well, but if you look at Ulm's units, even the Guardians only have magic resistance 9, and on average, a single hit from Mindburn will still kill them, since it's head damage. If it does half their HP, they just die, because their head explodes, basically. So they don't have a unit that can reliably survive a hit from Mindburn, and all of their units are magic resistance 9. So if I have 8 or 9 guys Mindburning, on average against a large group of infantry, I'm killing like 5 or 6 infantry a round. As I said, their Master Smiths do not have holy levels, so they can't cast Iron Blizzard. Only the Priest Smiths can, and the Black Priests. I'm sure he's been recruiting the Master Smiths for research purposes, since they're the cheapest and most efficient way to get research. Like, Black Acolytes, of course, aren't mages. Black Priests are more expensive are cheaper, but for less research. And Priest Smiths are more expensive for the same research. So I think he's trying to pump out research, which is fair. What he could do with that is he could, like, summon elementals. If he's gone down Conjuration instead, he could try to hit me with a bunch of Earth Elementals, which my army would be somewhat vulnerable to, since it's almost entirely infantry reliant. The thing here is that he has a number of problems that he has to deal with. Like, he has my Mage Communion. He has my Cavalry that's going to flank him. He has my Infantry. And the Infantry is going to be an issue for him, because... it's tough enough to inflict some casualties, and it's tough enough to stand up for a little while in front of his infantry. And he has the mind burns, so he has to be able to fight in the front line, which he can do because he's Ulm. He has to be able to weather the crossbowmen, which he can also probably do because he has so much armor. He has to be able to handle the flankers, which is a little bit trickier, and then he also has to deal with the fact that whatever his plan is, it has to account for him losing a whole bunch of infantry to mind burn. So we'll see. We're kind of in the balance here. It won't definitively turn my way until I get a bunch more units flooding down there. To be honest, I shouldn't be recruiting these longbows against... Well, I'll keep recruiting the longbows just because they can be used elsewhere. Against Ulm, these longbows, not very useful. More likely to hurt my own infantry than his, actually. Crossbows are good. The shield guys as chaff are decent. The glaive guys as damage dealers will be decent, and I'm recruiting a few more flankers, a few more Imperial horsemen. And up here, once again, crossbows and chaff. Crossbows and chaff, crossbows and chaff, that is the way we like to go. And I'm getting more Imperial horsemen up here in Oak Beach. I have 5 Imperial horsemen. How many heavies could I get? 6. Yeah, 5 Imperial is better. So, everything's pretty much going to code. We're doing alright. I would like to... I've got Yazi searching over here. After that, I'm going to move him in this direction, have him build some temples. Like, I'm probably going to build a temple here since I already have the lab, and start pumping out some Masters of the Way, just to have them. Or actually, I'll do it here, since I don't have scouts to recruit there. So I'll build a temple here in Darkwoods. I'll build a temple in Bithyne. I'd like to spread my scales, because since my scales are so good, and I just don't... I mean, I don't get a benefit from not having them. So... yeah, he's built a temple here, so he's pushing his scales at me, which means I need to push mine back. It's kind of a balancing act, and I've got, of course, Ashdod's dominion over here. So this fort is outside my dominion currently, and it is hurting, because it's not getting the full benefit of my order, or my magic scales, which I would definitely like to have. The balancing act is, I want to have my scales, but I don't necessarily want them to have my scales, because some good scales do have an effect on the enemy. They don't give positive effects of most scales, but you can take them back to neutral so they don't suffer from their own bad scales. Now, I happen to know that Ashdod has very good scales. I don't have any idea what Shinuyama has, but probably not too terrible. Looks like he does have Heat 3, which I'm not a huge fan of. So we'll see how that goes. We've got Shinuyama over here. That's all Ashdod. We've got a raiding party from Jotunheim, primarily of wolves. That's interesting. So, the plan for this turn, I'm collapsing troops into the Blightlands. We will starve for a turn again, because supplies are low in the Blightlands. And after that, we're going to go and siege Ulm. And we're basically going to be baiting a fight. And my gamble here will be, if he comes out to fight me, either I win or I lose, obviously. If he comes out to fight me and I win, which is possible because I have the magical support, I'll have a ton of Imperial Geomancers. With that magical support, if I win the fight, which I might, then I'll have destroyed his army, and he won't be able to recruit another one because he'll be under siege. If I lose, I will still have inflicted a lot of damage, and because I have high income for my territory and multiple forts, I'll be able to replace my army more quickly than he can. So unless he wins crushingly, with very low casualties, relatively speaking, I should still come out ahead in the long run. It's worth the risk for me, despite the fact that I'd be risking a lot of mages. Now, the way this could backfire on me is if he comes out of the gate with a ton of Iron Blizzard, then I might be screwed, because, of course, Iron Blizzard will ruin my Imperial Geomancers, and one type of spell I do not have is defensive buffs. I have Personal Luck, which is a great buff. I don't have Stone Skin or Iron Skin, albeit those wouldn't help, those don't help much against Iron Blizzard anyway. Iron Skin helps some. But ideally, I would have Iron Skin, Temper Flesh, and Personal Luck all active. Just turn them all on. So round 1, everybody communions up. Round 2, I turn on Iron Skin, Personal Luck, Twist Fate, and Temper Flesh. At that point, my communion slaves are extremely resilient, and it's only the masters that really have to worry because they only have one buff each because of the way communions work. So... we'll see. We'll see what can happen. What I can do is I can actually alter the positioning of my mages because since they're relying on Mind Burn has infinite range, so it can hit from all the way across the map. So what I can do is I can set my mages back out of range of spells, and that is actually a really good idea, and now that I mention it, I don't know why I haven't done it yet. So we're just going to set all our mages back here, all staggered out. They don't have to be in range of anything in order to cast. And Ulm does not have good flankers. The only way they can flank me is if they have recruited Black Knights, and even if they have, they're going to run into my cavalry if they try. So should be able to handle the situation. So I've got 2 good-sized lines of... Actually, hold up a second. Yeah, I thought so. Those can't actually take line formation. This is a display bug. If you select a whole army, and you select a squad that can take a formation, and then you select a squad that cannot take a formation, it will give you the option to change their formations, but it won't actually do anything. The squadron still won't take the formation in question. So I've got my 2 lines of infantry up front, plus this block. I've got archers, I've got more crossbows, I've got my 2 generals, front and center, I've got cavalry on the flanks, and then I have my mages in the back. I should have more mages than that. Shouldn't I? you can be in the back too, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, right. Because the rest of my mages are... I'm assembling 7 mages here to join the party. I don't actually want to do that. Yeah, you guys can get there in 1 turn. You can't. But you can. So now... I don't think I have any more good buffs. Personal luck. Don't I already have somebody casting personal luck? Your earth power, power of the spheres, twist fate. Nope, I guess I don't. So personal luck. Great. And then we'll save that as 1. We'll save that as 2. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 communion slaves, 6, 7, 8. And then these other 2 can be communion masters. And we will move them back with the magical old man squad back here. And the magical old men will lead us to victory, and Xenon will put up front. So yeah, I'm only doing this because, well, I'm fighting Ulm. And Ulm, like I said, Ulm doesn't have great answers to... Like, Ulm can't flank me effectively. And so I'm just going to stagger my mages like this in this formation that makes it actually very hard to shoot them effectively. With them all the way at the back like this, I can even put them further at the back. I don't know if that's as far as back as I can go. Okay, so with them all the way at the back, the enemy archers are very unlikely to be in range at the start. And the enemy mages are very unlikely to be in range. Archers, of course, do not have access to the fire rear command. So the only way I would have to, like, worry would be if he had archer commanders en masse, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't. And even if he does, I'll have a ton of defensive buffs on my guys back there, so most of them will be perfectly fine. So, we've got our mage ball pretty much assembled. We'll be at, we're missing 2, I think. I think we're at 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we're at 15 because I have 8 slaves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm losing my place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we have 8 slaves. That's a 3-path boost. So we're starting off at Earth 4. We're gonna Earth power, power of the spheres. Okay, we'll be fine. I'm sorry, I mean Astral 4. Yeah, and our fatigue buildup should be almost nothing. So 6 guys mind burning. They'll mind burn at least 3 times each. That should be a minimum of about 20 Olmish dead. Well, could be about 12 Olmish dead. But then they'll continue mind burning off script, I believe, because I just don't have the research for them to do much else. The risk is, since I've hit Evocation 4, that they will go off the reservation and start throwing Blade Wind. And Blade Wind against Ulm would be worthless. Utterly, utterly worthless. It's 14 slashing damage, and, more importantly, it costs a ton of fatigue. Now, they can do it. They'll be able to do it without too much trouble. Okay, so the downside of having 8 slaves now is that I'm actually losing out on one of the halvings. Because, okay, so the power of the spheres summon earth power combination. Yeah, it really works best with... I have to do some math in my head about communions, but it'll be more important in the future. Right now, it's not super important. Also, Stellar Cascades may be very valuable if this war keeps going. But of course, Gifts from Heaven will be the money. Gifts from Heaven is just such a fantastic spell. See, Gifts from Heaven requires Earth 3, so the ideal is to get your masters to Earth 4 with buffs. With the communion, and then somehow get your slaves to Earth 5. No, wait, never mind. It counts. It still counts. Never mind me. Ignore me. I forgot how communions work for a second. Temporarily lost my mind. Everything will be fine. Never mind all of that. We are going to set up the doomiest of doom communions and have a great time. So, in any case, In other geopolitics, I've been contacted about attacking Bandar Log, but I'm kind of busy at the moment, and Bandar Log and I have a non-aggression pact, so I'm not doing that. I'm building a lab to get my crystal sorceresses going, so that I don't have to worry about these guys down here, because although they are neat, they're slow to recruit. And I don't need slow to recruit mages in my life right now. I need as many Imperial Geomancers as can physically be crammed through Geomancy School. As soon as I rescue these people, I'll be able to start recruiting a mage per turn from there as well. So then I'll be effectively recruiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mages per turn. And won't that be fun? Over here, I will recruit a few more Celestial Masters. And once I get my lab here, my temple here, I'll also be recruiting Masters of the Way. 25% of Masters of the Way, I think, can summon... What's the requirement for summoning Celestial Soldiers again? I can never remember things. Ah, Air and Astral. 2 Air, 1 Astral. Okay, so it's only Celestial Masters and only 25% of them that can do that. Well, technically it's 27.5% of them, but okay. Gotcha. That's a little unfortunate, because I was looking forward to massing Celestial Soldiers, so I will have to focus on pumping out some Celestial Masters here. A couple Imperial Alchemists also wouldn't go amiss, but we'll just see what happens. We'll see how it goes. So that is turn 20, and I'll see you all in turn 21, where we will see if we've been jumped by Ulm or not. Take care till then.